Hello, friends. Brian Gailey, Klamath Falls News. Welcome to Ask Klamath, presented by Fastbreak. Joining us today is Coach Werner over here, High Altitude Track Club. We're actually going to be asking your questions to Coach Werner in just a few minutes. But Damien, roll that intro. Hey friends, Brian Gailey, Klamath Falls News. Welcome to Ask Klamath, presented by Fastbreak. Today our guest, Coach Douglas Werner, High Altitude Track Club. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate you being here. Off camera, we were talking about a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to actually get to your bio in just a minute. There's a lot of things this guy's done. It's amazing. Let's just start into it. So I've got here a USATF certified.
USATF certified.
USTF CCCA certified.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask you in just a minute what all these acronyms mean, and hopefully we get it. You're working on an IAAF Level 1 certification.
Yes, sir.
And currently attending Columbia University School of Professional Studies.
Yes, sir.
How do you fit all this in?
I really don't. I have a team of people that do all my stuff for me, and actually, I think it's because I'm hyperactive. You know, a lot of people think that throws you off, but I think that when you sleep 4 to 5 hours a night, it allows you a lot of time to get a lot of stuff done.
There you go. You are the president, head coach, and founder of the High Altitude Track Club. We're actually going to be talking a lot about that here today. You're also the founder of the Next Up Games as well as the Wings Project.
Yes, sir.
We're going to get more into that in just a little bit as well. The Next Up Project and the Wings Project, reading that over your stuff. That's some pretty impressive stuff you got going on.
I guess I don't find it as impressive because it came to me gradually, you know? So I'm not as impressed with myself.
Well, for Coach Werner's full-length bio and what he's got going on, visit askklamath.com during the show. You can check it out and see his full bio that he's got going on over there. So with everything that's going on, where are some of the gaps that we have, you talk about some certifications, talk about what you've done in organizations. What are some of the gaps in there we don't have listed here, maybe not on your bio?
Well, it doesn't say anything about my school coaching career in there at all. It doesn't say anything about any of my time on either of the two semi-pro football teams that I played on, which kind of is where the speed training began. We had a lot of coaching gaps to fill on one of the teams that I played for, and I was the one that had perhaps the most speed training. I was the only one on that team that had ran track at first as long as I did. Now, eventually they came. You know, Salem Doom was a decent team, but that's where it began, and that's where the interest came in. And so after my playing career was over, naturally, that just carried over into coaching.
Okay. Well, we'll get more into that in just a moment. We're going to be taking your questions live during this broadcast, so get those questions for Coach Werner in the comments below. We're monitoring those comments, and we'll get those questions asked a little bit later in the show. I do want to remind everybody, Ask Klamath is presented by Fastbreak, and because of so, somebody is actually going to get a $25 gift card from Fastbreak to be used on food, fuel, whatever it might be. So ask your questions. The person that will win is one that will have their question asked during the show. We do have a lot of great questions already. We did an ask for some questions. We're going to get to those in a little bit. We may not be able to get to all of our questions today because there's just so many good ones. So if we don't get to your question, please don't get upset about that. We're going to get to as many of those as possible. Now, with all that housekeeping on the way, you ready for some questions?
Sure.
All right. So how long have you been involved in track, and how did that all get started?
Well, I was a baseball player predominantly during the spring. In Salem, they have an annual 4x100 relay competition that was originally put on by the Salem JCs. Now I think it's Country Financial. But they gather all 1,000,003 elementary schools that are in Salem, and it's a big giant 4x100 festival. And forgive me, my interest began there, but organized track didn't start for me until 8th grade. And when it did, it kind of took off from there. I mentioned before that I was a right about an average athlete, except in that middle school time. During that middle school period where it really took off, that's where I excelled for the most part. But I like my coaching ability a little bit more than my actual running experience. I ran for Chemeketa Community College. I did the 100 long jump, triple jump, and the 4x100 relay. It was great. We were an intramural team, though. We ran against a lot of good teams, and we had a good time, and we won some ribbons, but ultimately it was a community college team, mm-hmm. and it was more for fun.
Okay. So going back to your bio and those certifications.
Okay.
Let me grab those again so I can reference them. What do they all mean? You've got USATF.
Okay. USATF is USA Track and Field, and for all intents and purposes is probably my most important certification out of all of it. You mentioned the USTF CCCA, that's USA Track and Field Cross Country Coaches Association. They have a wonderful program for lots of different elements of coaching track and field. It's a good program to have. USATF though, that's the one that really, the USATF controls track and field. IAAF is the governing body over all sports global, but they defer on track and field to USATF.
Okay, so the next one is the IAAF. What one is that? What is that all about?
So like I said, the IAAF is the governing body over all sports global. When you and I were talking off air, I mentioned that we had an event scheduled on September 8th. And that event had to be canceled because the AQI was over 150. It's
the air quality.
Yes, the air quality index. It's the IAAF that tells us that we have to cut it off at 150. IAAF certification allows me to further my way into getting my master coach certification. So I have to USATF level 2 in multiple categories. And I'm sure we'll get into that. But the IAAF, once I get my IAAF, that allows me to get my USATF level 3.
Nice. So all those certifications just mean you know what you're doing, right? Or at least you hope you know what you're doing.
I'm certainly not going to hurt your children.
There you go. All right. So high altitude track club, mm-hmm. What is it? And what's the difference between that and, say, high school? Junior high.
USATF, like I said, that's the big. They control track and field, and the biggest difference between them is where high school is high school. That's grade 9 through 12. USATF is age 14 through 15, 16 through 18. So they're age group centric, and it gives you an idea of where you truly are compared to the people that are your age group.
Rather than your school's conference?
Rather than your school's conference. Now, so for a lot of us, for like our smaller schools, it's a much more broad, dare I say, in some cases, higher level of competition because it's a nonstop barrage of 5A and 6A competition that we go up against. We're one of the smallest towns that have a USATF team, and I'm proud to say that.
So high altitude track and field is a USATF.
It is a USATF certified sanctioned team.
And
yes.
So what kind of regions of players would you be going against? Say you go to a meet that's in Salem, mm-hmm. right? Who else would be going to that meet?
Well, Salem has their own track club as well. There is Salem Track Club. There's probably 20 track clubs in Portland. Altogether between track and field and cross country, there's 100 and almost 30 teams in the state of Oregon alone.
Oh, wow.
Yes. It's a big, broad spectrum. There's a lot of people to go up against. And then, of course, we have indoor track avenues, which probably is even a higher level of competition than our summer. But most of all of our kids every single one of my kids runs school track. All of my high school kids run school track for various different high schools. We're heavy with Hosanna Christian, Triad Christian, and Mazama, but it's open to anybody in the city. I will advise, when we travel, it's a fairly high level of competition. So, you might want to keep that in mind when you're costing your family a lot of money to go to these trips, but it is so fun and it's so worth the experience. And for a lot of our high school kids, they get a chance to see the kids that they're really competing against for college scholarships. Yes, we have our local pool of talent too, which is fantastic. But they get to see the kids abroad that are challenging them for that scholarship at University of Oregon or even Western Oregon.
Okay. So when we did your bio and we introduced you, we talked about Next Up Games and the Wings Project.
Mm-hmm.
What are those?
Okay, so this last summer, something really heartbreaking happened, and that's that the Special Olympics announced that they did not get the funding to have their athletes compete, and not only was it just seeming like days before the event was scheduled to go off, but this didn't just happen in our state. This is happening in a lot of places, and there's some states right now that even though they had their Special Olympics, they don't ever know if they're going to have it again, the next season. So what the Next Up Games is doing is we're inventing a way to have something that's, I can't say free, but very limited operating budget that will allow these athletes to still have a championship. It'll divide the states in North and South, or East and West, whichever is easiest for the state to make a more even divide. But it'll allow them to have their regional meet and then a championship meet, and hopefully down the road we can create some sort of national championship out of it. At the same time, if the Special Olympics do come back, we're ready to hand that championship, the ultimate championship title, back to the Special Olympics. So I don't want the Special Olympics to think that we're trying to take any of their thunder or any of their numbers. But at the same time, we got to make sure that we have something in place for these athletes that work really super hard all year round. They need an avenue to compete. So what the Next Up Games is doing is we're trying to give them that avenue for next to nothing. And one of the ways that we're going to be doing that is with students, using nothing but students really, except for, hopefully we have a paid timing service. But doing this for credit and percentage as opposed to pay.
Okay.
And it's going to be one of those things where communities are going to need to pull together.
Okay. So that's the Next Up Games. What about the Wings Project?
The Next Up Game, or the Wings Project. So every coach in this town has experienced an athlete that isn't in the sport because of equipment reasons. And as a track coach, the biggest thing that I encounter is footwear. Having proper footwear is absolutely essential to the sport. I mean, and everybody knows that. It's heartbreaking when you come across a kid that you've known or are getting to know, and you ask them why they're not in the sport, and they tell you, I can't get the equipment. That's a heartbreaker too, and that's something that we're trying to, and starting with the basin, but hopefully it'll spread outward. So, Wings Project.
So it's about getting maybe underprivileged kids?
Yes.
The proper gear which they can then participate.
Yes. And for me, once this gets rolling, it's not going to be just about track and field or football or basketball. What if we have an athlete that's a competitive snowboarder? Boots are expensive. And boots in the snowboarding world, that's the most important part of a snowboarder's day. So, and I don't mean to just focus on snowboarding or track or football. It's any sport. I don't want there to be a child in our town that can't play because of equipment reasons.
Okay.
That's something that we should have something in place for.
So a lot of our interview is going to be based upon high altitude track and field. If somebody wants to learn more about the Wings project or the Next Up games, how could they learn more? How could they become involved?
Well, we'll put up some contact information. You can call me directly. You can log on to our team's website, info@highaltitudeTF.com. Also, highaltitudetrack@gmail.com. We can post my phone number. But right now, these programs are both, I'd say, beyond conceptual. They're still in their infancy, and we're creating a board right now for the Next Up games. I have a couple people that are already willing to be on this board and throw themselves in it fully. Definitely looking for some more.
Very good.
I would love to have some more minds working on both of these projects because I'm not good with this stuff. I'm an idea guy.
Well, so guys, we're going to be taking a break here in just a moment. Thank you, Coach Werner, for answering those questions. And during the commercial break is a great time to get your questions in because somebody is going to walk away with a $25 gift card to Fastbreak. It could be used in their convenience stores or at the fuel pumps. Guys, we'll be right back. This is Brian Gailey, Klamath Falls News, Ask Klamath, and Coach Werner.
Fuel, refreshment, convenience, community, rewards. Fastbreak convenience stores with 7 basin locations at Madison Chevron, Homedale Fastbreak, Merrill Mobile, 97 Chevron, McDowell Fuel Good, Washburn Chevron, and Blythe Fuel Good. Fastbreak, convenience, community, service.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
And move over. When you see lights,
vests,
Or reflectors.
please give us some room. Slow down and move over.
when you need us.
We've got your back.
You have ours.
You got our back?
You got ours?
You got our back?
Please, slow down.
And move over.
You can have your car taken to the shop of your choice. So my friend had her car taken to Excel Auto Body because she heard about their reputation for excellent work. They even gave her a written warranty that's good for as long as she owns that car. So Excel Auto Body is a very smart choice.
Hi, I'm Rorik, owner of Excel Auto Body. No matter if the damage is minor or major, you'll want to choose us now. So if you are ever in an accident, you'll be ready. And remember, it's your choice what body shop you go to. Choose Excel Auto Body. It's your car, our reputation.
Welcome back, friends. Brian Gailey, Klamath Falls News, joined by Coach Werner, High Altitude Track Club. We're discussing the track club as well as a couple other things you got going on as well. But before we get back into the questions, your questions, I do want to let you know that this segment is brought to you by CrossFit APE, located at 105 North Spring Street. CrossFit APE offers core strength and conditioning program built on consistently varied functional movements executed at a high intensity. Learn more about them at crossfitape.blogspot.com. CrossFit APE, evolve your lifestyle. Coach, you ready for some more questions?
Sure.
All right. Well, yesterday, or actually Monday, we asked for questions from our audience, and we got a few of those. And Carly K is asking, what ages does high altitude work with?
Well, Carly, high altitude, right at the moment, we're kind of middle school and high school heavy, but we run the USATF program, and the USATF program is open to ages 8 all the way through 18. So that means that they will take competitive 7-year-olds, and they will take 19-year-olds that aren't far into being 19. After that, there is avenues for what's called juniors, and that's 18 to 44, and then masters, which is 45 on up. And though we don't have any juniors or masters, we are open to them.
Okay. So a couple other questions that have come up is and we kind of addressed this in the first segment before we went to break, the differences between a club and the high school, right? We talked about where your competitions are, who
Right.
you compete with. What other things might be a little bit different.
Another thing about USATF is that they are announced pre-planned NCAA and NAIA scouting ground. So they are an official NCAA and NAIA scouting ground, as well as school. But just know that, like, say at meets at our state level, regional level, or any indoor meets, they're going to be absolutely just littered with college scouts and coaches, and they are, and they've proven themselves to be very rich recruiting environment.
Okay. Do you need experience coming into high altitude track and field, or do you teach that?
I do. I do. I personally, we're going into some of the certifications. USATF level 2 education that I have is in sprints, hurdles, and relays. I personally coach short sprints, relays, and long jump and triple jump. So I personally teach those events. Now, I'm not going to hurt an athlete, so I'm not going to try to coach a distance runner or a thrower or a pole vaulter myself, because though I've read about them, it's not something that I did myself, nor is it something that I've really delved into as a coach. I have no desire to hurt a child's ability to get into college by giving wrong advice. And unfortunately, I do see that on occasion. We have a very rich coaching environment here in Klamath Falls, and a lot of coaches that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. But sometimes I see kids come in and they've been told something that we might have been told when we were children that has been proven wrong 20 years ago. Sometimes it's even just recent. One of the things that is blowing people away is that, for example, the USATF recommends no stretching, no static stretching whatsoever. Now, dynamic warm-ups are another thing, but static stretching that you and I grew up on is a complete thing of the past, and we see that still being coached, and again, that's just one of the examples. So, I'm not going to personally do that to somebody else. I know that I can coach a sprinter. I'm not even going to try to coach a thrower.
So you're saying you won't work with the throwers or the distance runners or something? Do you have people on your team that do that?
I do, and I've been talking to Mike Voigt. He's an incredible throwing coach. He's got a very, very big reputation around here, and he and I have been in talks. I have a proven javelin and high jump coach. He's the AD at the YMCA, Jeremiah Johnston. We try to. We try to make sure that every aspect is covered by somebody who is going to know what they're talking about.
Okay. How does somebody get involved? Whether it's maybe they want to volunteer some time because they may have something that they could coach, or if they got some kids, how does somebody get involved into the High Altitude Club?
It's very easy. Call me. We also have a Facebook page. We have a website. I am right now in the market for a pole vault coach, hurdles coach, and a distance coach. So if you have any experience with any of that, don't hesitate to call me. If you're looking to get involved with a really good program that's fully intent on putting some kids into college, please get a hold of me. I really could use your help. And also, I really like someone to help me with littles if we get them. I do have one, this little guy named Owen. He's awesome, and I enjoy working with him. But if we get bigger in that category, I'm definitely going to need somebody who knows how to make this fun.
So how does an athlete get involved? Is there tryouts?
There is no tryouts.
How does that work?
There is no tryouts. It is open to everybody. We go into some pretty competition-heavy fields, but it is open to everybody. There's nobody that I would say no. No, don't come better yourself. That's not how I roll. So please come better yourself.
And is there fees associated with it?
Yes,
Membership
yes,
dues or anything like that?
So right now we're looking at $150 for high school age on up. Well, more 14 years old on up, because a gym membership also comes comes with a high altitude track membership. Thanks to Jim Johnston and NFRC, they've been very gracious and helpful to our track team. So for 14 years old on up, it's $150.
And for how long? Is that a season? Is that
so
a
they
year?
have me for all year. The competition, depending upon whether you do indoor track is January. The competition season is January, February, and the beginning of March. Then you have school track, and then most of my kids come back for summer track. So the training, we have 7 and 9 month training programs for all year round kids. And for the others, it's just kind of it's on their training comes on an individual basis. You know, it's not a one size fits all. I don't ever do anything one size fits all. Someone comes into our program, they're going to get individual training. So we'll see where they're at. If they're not one of my kids that we have all year round, we're just going to have to see where they're at and see where we need to go from there. But no experience necessary. I will teach my kids anything they need to know, and if not, somebody else that knows what they're talking about will.
In the Wings program, you had talked about the providing gear for kids that may not be able to afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have, maybe there's some families out there that says, hey, that's something we're interested in, and we've done junior high track, maybe we want to go do this.
Mm-hmm.
But the school helped provide some of that. Do you guys have shoes and track shoes and discuses and javelins and all that stuff and uniforms, or does a parent in a athlete have to find their own?
Okay, so another thing that comes with your membership to High Altitude Track Club is your uniform top. We do have warm-ups that are for sale. We do have gear for the athletes that we have. So say that we have a high school kid that comes in and wants to throw the javelin. We don't have an 800-gram javelin yet. But if I have a child that wants to come in and throw the javelin, you bet that I'm going to go out and get some javelins for our club. So, I'm trying to spend, the money that we have is limited. So I'm trying to spend it as smart as I possibly can. But you bet we're going to make sure that our kids are taken care of.
Okay. How often do you guys practice? Where do you guys practice at?
So Hosanna Christian Academy has been extremely gracious in letting us use their facilities there. I can't even tell you how grateful I am to them for doing that. So when the weather's warm and we're not miserable, that's where we're at. Right now we're getting ready to take our indoor track practices into Mike's Field House, which works out perfectly because I can make a 200-meter track out of their fields. So our kids do have that all year round training available. There's periods where it's not required, but again, they have it all year round. It's open to anybody. We have uniforms, equipment's covered. You asked about the Wings project and shoes. We do have a few pairs of spikes sitting there right now. Again, these programs are kind of in their infancy, so it's kind of a miracle that I even have these spikes right now. But we're working on it, and I'm a member. Our team is a member of the Klamath County Chamber of Commerce, which, by the way, if you're thinking about doing that, do it. It's been nothing but a boon to this track team. The merchants in this town have been incredible to us, and shout out to Tira, formerly Dickinson, Tira Mast. She's managed to raise a lot of money for us, and between her and the merchants of this town, we've been able to do a lot, and I'm really appreciative of how well this town supports us.
This town can come together on some pretty cool things, can it?
Oh, my goodness.
It's
really
awesome
can.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, we're going to take a break here in just a moment, but now is a great time to ask your questions in the comments for Coach Werner here. Somebody that asked a question is actually going to get a $25 payday rewards card. Guys, we're going to be right back.
Fuel, refreshment, convenience, community, rewards. Fastbreak Convenience Stores, with 7 basin locations at Madison Chevron, Homedale Fastbreak, Merrill Mobile, 97 Chevron, McDowell Fuel Good, Washburn Chevron, and Blythe Fuel Good. Fastbreak, convenience, community, service.
Slow down
Slow down and move over.
and move over. When you see lights,
Vests.
Or reflectors.
Please, give us some room. Slow down and move over.
when you need us.
We've got your back.
Do you have ours?
You got our back?
You got ours?
You got our back? Please, slow down.
And move over.
You can have your car taken to the shop of your choice. So my friend had her car taken to Excel Auto Body because she heard about their reputation for excellent work. They even gave her a written warranty that's good for as long as she owns that car. So Excel Auto Body is a very smart choice.
Hi, I'm Rourke, owner of Excel Auto Body. No matter if the damage is minor or major, you'll want to choose us now. So if you are ever in an accident, you'll be ready. And remember, it's your choice what body shop you go to. Choose Excel Auto Body. It's your car, our reputation.
Hi friends, Brian Gailey here, Klamath Falls News. Welcome back to Ask Klamath, presented by Fastbreak. Today, if you're just catching in, we are joined by Coach Werner of the High Altitude Track Club. Thank you, Coach, for being here.
Thank you.
This segment is actually brought to you by the Klamath County Fairgrounds, our friends over there. There's actually a lot going on, and surprisingly, off camera, we were talking about MMA stuff. Mm-hmm. There's some MMA stuff going on this weekend. This Saturday, the live professional MMA cage fights return with an undercard. The main fight is a professional level fight. The undercard features amateur MMA, caged kickboxing, submission matches, and a 4-man under 199-pound elimination tournament. Also happening this Saturday is the New Horizons Banquet, the Klamath Farm Bureau Dinner, and Racing in the Basin. For more about what the fairgrounds can do for you and what they got going on, visit kcfairgrounds.org. Got some more questions. You ready?
Certainly. Bring them on.
So, Coach, if you could sum up your program, the High Altitude Track Club, in one word, what would it be and why?
Special. And that's because...
No hesitation there.
No hesitation. We have a pool of athletes that are not only talented athletically, but they have given so much of themselves outside of the track and outside of their schools. We have a team that's willing to go out on a moment's notice and go shovel snow at Pelican Point or go clean up trash at Henley. Whatever the case may be, helping out with the Healthy Kids running series. We're going to put on a free running camp. These kids are willing to do it, and they're willing to do it on a Saturday or after school. So there is no other word. I mean, special. It's so much more than a track program, and the way we get along and how cohesive these kids are, coming from different schools and different backgrounds. It's really unique, and it's something special,
So would you, it's for a club for both boys and girls.
Yes, sir.
Right. You said you're starting at age 7 and going up, right? Even into adult levels, right? Would you think you're like creating a brotherhood of these athletes?
Oh, without a doubt. If you put these kids together, and you were to just observe, I mean, you see kids laughing, you see kids having a great time, you see them working, and it's funny because they don't think they're working. They often don't think they're working. They don't realize that they're working, and it works so well that they just worked. I mean, these kids don't miss out on any type of physical exercise whatsoever, but it's so seamless. It seems like it just seems like we're having coffee sometimes. It's great. I love these kids.
Awesome. That is awesome to hear. It's we talked a little bit about in the last break some of how the meets work, where they're at, when they're at, and stuff like that. Is there an off season to the track club? Is there an on season? You said you got indoor meets and outdoor meets, and how does that all work?
So this year, we had a couple kids go to regionals, and that ended in August. So when Ben Carringer and Izzy Argall finished up with their seasons, it was pretty much the end of August, and that's right where our season ends for the year. You know, we have a couple months off. That's really about it for the more serious athletes. I mentioned Izzy Argall. She also plays varsity soccer for Mazama. That was her off season. That's what I'm saying about these kids. You know, they're just beasts. Their off seasons are spent in sports or in diving into music. You know, Ben Carringer, I mentioned him. That dude can play the piano like you've never heard. You know, he's Mozart. And another cool thing about Ben is that not only does he play the piano like Mozart, but he writes the music that he plays. You know, so he's a composer. And at 16, that's pretty incredible. You know, so he just turned 17. Happy birthday, Ben. So we have individuals that know what they're doing on and off the track, and they take that time in the off season, that very short off season, and they get a lot done. And then it's time to hit the gym, where they'll spend 6 weeks doing heavy strength training.
Okay. We kind of touched on this a little bit already, but, you know, people tuning in, people watch the show, they watch in and out, they watch the rewatch and whatnot. How can somebody get involved with with the track club as a player, volunteer, or coach?
So the easiest way would be to call me directly. I'm one of those guys that I'm old school. Email is something to me that works slower. You know, call me. We can get something done in 30 seconds that could take, you know, 2 hours of writing back and forth. Just call me, 541-810-2288. But, again, highaltitudetf.com is pretty easy to remember. We have a Facebook page. Anybody can request to be on that. I do have a need. I have a need for athletes. I have a need for volunteer coaches. It is not a paid position, but it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding.
We touched a little bit on equipment again, and another question that we have here is, are you short on any equipment? And if so, how could people help you obtain the equipment you need?
Okay, so we are short some equipment. We could definitely use, you know, I mentioned javelins earlier. I have a couple of athletes that are interested in becoming pole vaulters. We could definitely use poles. Definitely mats, but Klamath County has some really, really, really good grant programs. And, you know, and there's no guarantee that you qualify for them, but so far it's been really good for us. And so yes, to answer your question, we do have an equipment need. Always spikes, running shoes and spikes are always a need, but a couple of 1.6 kilogram discuses and some 600 gram and 800 gram javelins certainly wouldn't hurt anything.
So if somebody happened to have, maybe their kid moved on out of high school, they've grown out of their shoes, are you looking for stuff that's new, gently used? How's that?
Yes, gently used on the running shoes for sure. Spikes are one of those things where I want the kids to have new because I desperately need them to be fitted. People don't know how badly ill-fitting footwear negatively affects your performance. You know, say you're sprinting. If you're wearing spikes that are even a half a size too big, what happens is you have to lift your leg up higher in order to fully stride. That's taking from your run. So if a runner has to spend their steps lifting up an extra inch, then what's going to happen is they're going to lose 0.2 of a second.
Could be the difference between first and third.
It's going to be a difference in first and eighth.
Yeah.
You know,
Whether
you're
they're on the
talking a
podium or
final.
not.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, guys, now's a great time to get your questions in. We're going to take a break here. Somebody is going to walk away with a payday rewards card with $25 loaded on it. It might as well be you. Ask your questions in the comments below for Coach Werner and the High Altitude Track Club. We'll be right back.
Fuel, refreshment, convenience, community, rewards. Fastbreak convenience stores with 7 basin locations at Madison Chevron, Homedale Fastbreak, Merrill Mobile, 97 Chevron, McDowell Fuel Good, Washburn Chevron, and Blythe Fuel Good. Fastbreak, convenience, community, service.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
And move over.
When you see lights,
Vests.
Or reflectors.
Please, give us some room. Slow down and move over.
when you need us.
We've got your back.
Do you have ours?
You got our back?
You got ours?
You got our back?
Please, slow down.
And move over.
You can have your car taken to the shop of your choice. So my friend had her car taken to Excel Auto Body because she heard about their reputation for excellent work. They even gave her a written warranty that's good for as long as she owns that car. So Excel Auto Body is a very smart choice.
Hi, I'm Rorik, owner of Excel Auto Body. No matter if the damage is minor or major, you'll want to choose us now. So if you are ever in an accident, you'll be ready. And remember, it's your choice what body shop you go to. Choose Excel Auto Body. It's your car, our reputation.
Hey friends, Brian Gailey, Klamath Falls News. Welcome back to Ask Klamath. It's presented by Fastbreak, and today we're joined by Coach Werner over here of High Altitude Track Club. Again, Coach, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Damien's fumbling around with stuff back there, trying to get something back online. Technology is great. It works till it doesn't. This segment is actually brought to you by Shasta Family Dental. Dr. Mindy Brown has created a team of individuals that hold a high value in family, community, honesty, integrity, and compassion. Sounds like your track club. They provide quality, compassionate dental care through trust and respect of their patients. They care for you and the community. Shasta Family Dental is located across from the City Police Department on Shasta Way. You can learn more at shastafamilydental.com or call them 541-884-5474. Once again, guys, you want to get your questions in because somebody's going to come out with a payday or rewards card, $25 loaded, ready to spend in their stores. Coach, what's on your mind?
Well, one of the things that I've had an issue with over the past 4 years is that this track club has actually been in existence for going on 4 years, and we're relatively unheard of, and it's kind of sad, but folks, we do exist, and we do a lot of good things, and even though we're not heavily covered, there's results from our athletes. So I kind of lost my train of thought there for a second. Forgive me, but
So coverage. You're having some issues with getting some coverage and letting people know that you exist and what they do, what you do for the community and for these kids.
So, though we've had trouble getting coverage, and what I'd like people to know is that we're out here, we accept everybody, and we actually even host a meet. We have something called Mountain Memorial Relay Classic, and there's 7 different relays. You have the 4x100 relay, 4x2, 4x3, 4x4, 4x15, sprint medley, distance medley, and a field medley relay. And it's a national event. Obviously we get people mostly from the west side, but there's a lot of people coming over from Nevada and Utah and Northern California, Washington. It's a really good event. So I'm hoping to see some teams sign up this year. It'll be good.
Okay. So you were saying last year that you unfortunately had to cancel your event, right? Because of weather conditions and smoke and all that.
Well, we had 2 events actually have to get canceled last year. So we had the Mountain Memorial Relay Classic scheduled, and we had a situation at KU where that discus area was just a little what the US ATF thought might have been dangerous, and they have changed it. So we are going to go back to having this event. We weren't able to get our sanctioning in time to really advertise last year, so otherwise this would have popped off, and it's a really good event. You know, we have possible stuff planned with the U.S. Army at this event. We know we're going to have food trucks, and we'll be selling uniforms on site as well as like batons and spikes.
I think the impressive thing is even though you had to cancel, you said you had 130 teams registered.
We had 180 teams, 180 something teams actually put it on their schedule, and so Tira, our team's treasurer, we panicked and we went through and we started capping events, and the same thing with
how big is the average team?
Well, our team has 10 and we're tiny. You go up to Salem, there's they probably have 80 something athletes. There's a team that we sister with, kind of, they're called SGU, Step Your Game Up, out of Tualatin. They have 100 and something athletes themselves.
Over 100.
Yes.
So 170 teams, and say there was 50 on a team. That's a lot of competitors.
That's a lot of competitors.
That's a lot of family.
That's
That's a pretty big influx for a couple of days.
It is. And originally this was scheduled for one day, but I think that having that on the schedule and canceling it was actually a blessing in disguise, because it allowed us to see what this could potentially be. And so now we know it has to be a 2-day event. I mean, it really does have to be a 2-day event. And there's going to be a lot. It looked like so many people coming that there's a possibility that our hotels might not have been able to handle it.
That's a lot of people.
And this was the most hypothetical one. Now, September 8th, we were supposed to host the Last Call Classic. And though we only had 80 teams put that on their schedule, even that brings a potential of close to 7,000 athletes. And we were already getting ready to tell people, okay, here's our campgrounds. Here's some hotels in Medford, maybe. I mean, we were potentially going to be out of rooms here. So, I mean, this could be a good thing. It could be a very good thing for our community.
And unfortunately, that September one you lost due to air quality.
Air quality.
So the local fires, and they really hit you hard.
This is the second year in a row that we've been hit really hard by these fires. And again, with the having to cancel the Last Call Classic, again, that was probably a blessing in disguise too, because our kids hadn't been able to train, you know, and that's. None of our kids wanted to walk in there and underperform, you know. So again, another blessing in disguise. As much as we hate canceling these events, if we can't train for them, you know, it kind of it worked out in our favor, at least for this year.
All right. So one question that just kind of came to me is, do you guys, Tara's doing a lot of stuff with you, treasurer stuff.
Yeah.
Is she working with the grant side of things too? You guys going after some grants? Or do you have a grant writer?
So the Klamath County has a lot of fantastic grant programs. You guys, if any of you are out there in need of a grant, look into what Klamath County has. They've been invaluable to us. Tira, again, another shout out to Tira, because we'd just be a uniform if it wasn't for her. She has informed me of all the grants that come up. She's very good at making sure that I don't answer wrong or I don't babble, as you guys have all, I babble. Yes, she's built this team. She's built our bank account. She's built everything that we have that's not a uniform. It's all thanks to her and Klamath County and the merchants of this town, and some of our very dedicated parents.
Awesome.
And we do have those.
So we're going to take a moment, guys, to take a look and see what questions we have here. Some of the people watching, my wife is watching, thank you. David Alvarado is watching. Tara is watching. She was mentioning there, in one of her comments says, you rely on Treasure. Making sure she got a shout out. But she most definitely have. Jan Goodyear, thank you for watching. Steve Smith says, and I think we answered this, but we'll come back around to it. Where can I get more information about high altitude track?
HighAltitudeTF.com is our website. We also have a Facebook page. Well, we have 2 Facebook pages. One's used more for fundraising pushes, and the other one is our main page where we do a lot of communicating. Our parents communicate with me and each other. I communicate with the kids. It's also, again, my phone number is area code 541-810-2288. Feel free to give me a call directly. I do like to communicate with voice, so don't hesitate to call me.
Okay. Susan McCoy has been watching, gives you a big thumbs up. And she
Thank you,
says,
Susan.
She says,
Suzanne.
go at Ben Carriger. I know I pronounced it.
Right.
Carringer. Thank
Carringer.
you. I know I got that wrong. Marcus Silva just gave a thumbs up. So we had a couple of questions. It's now time to actually pick a winner. Does anything stick out to you? You had a live question, again, asking you about more information. That was Stephen Smith. And earlier, I'm trying to go back to all my notes. Carly K says, what ages? That was her question. What ages do you work with? Tara also asked a couple of questions.
Tara, you're not getting the payday card. Sorry. I love you.
So you got a choice. You got a 50-50.
Carly, I'd have to say you get it.
Okay. All right. Well, I will be reaching out to you as to how to pick up your payday rewards card. It'll be loaded with $25 that you can spend at a Fastbreak store. Coach, anything else on your mind that you would like to talk about?
Indoor track. Not many avenues into that. So if you're an athlete that's a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior in high school, give me a call if you want to run indoor track. You're not allowed to attach yourself to a school, but you could either go unattached or with High Altitude Track Club. So feel free to give me a call, 541-810-2288.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Coach,
Thank
for
you
being
for
a
having me,
guest
Ryan.
on the show. I appreciate it. This is Ask Klamath, presented by Fastbreak. Congrats to our winner. I'll be in contact with you again on how you can claim your rewards card. Ask Klamath is a production of Clown Falls News. It's hosted by myself, Brian Gailey. Off camera is Damian Johnson over there. He's actually handling all the production. There's Damian. Couldn't do this show without him, and unfortunately, like I said in the last one, we do lose him at the end of the year. So if you know somebody who wants to be Damian, have him give me a call, and we would love to chat with you about that. If you did not catch this entire live broadcast, don't worry. As soon as Facebook's done doing its magic, you can rewatch this show anytime on our page, as well as AskKlamath.com. You can catch up on any previous episodes. If you liked it, if you were entertained, if this is something you enjoy, give it a thumbs up, a like, comment, tell us why, share it with your friends and family. We'd love to have everybody know what we got going on here. Next week, episode 10 for season 2 will be Nancy Seitz. She's the fair manager for the Two Lake Butte Valley Fairgrounds. She's going to come in and talk to us about what's going on down there and what they're planning for next year. And in 2 weeks, we got a very special guest the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Colonel Jeff Smith from the Kingsley Field will be on our show answering questions about Secretary Wilson's visit this last weekend and the future of Kingsley Field. Guys, I'm Brian Gailey. On behalf of my guest, Coach Werner, thank you for watching. We'll see you around the basin. Goodbye.